What if the money in your wallet was already worthless? Not next year, not in a decade, right now. In March of 2026, something extraordinary is happening behind closed doors. In boardrooms from New York to Zurich, in vaults buried beneath the streets of Shanghai, the wealthiest people on the planet are running. Not from war, not from crime, from the dollar. Gold has crossed $5,100 an ounce, a number that would have sounded insane 5 years ago. And the people who saw it coming, they didn't panic. They prepared. This is the story of the greatest monetary shift in a century, and why most people will wake up too late. Let's start with a number: $36 trillion. That is the current national debt of the United States of America. It is not a talking point. It is a catastrophe in slow motion. In 2000, the debt was $6 trillion. In 2010, it was $13 trillion. Today, 36. And it grows by $4 billion every single day. The U.S. Treasury must now spend more on interest payments than on national defense. Think about that. More money paying off credit cards than protecting the country. Meanwhile, ordinary Americans feel it in the grocery aisle, at the gas pump, in their rent checks. This is inflation. And inflation is not an accident. It is a tax. The invisible tax. On everyone. The Federal Reserve prints money to pay debts. More money means each dollar buys less. Your savings shrink quietly every night. The system is not broken. The system is working exactly as designed, just not for you. To understand 2026, you must go back to 1971, August 15th, to be precise. On that night, President Nixon announced that the U.S. dollar would no longer be backed by gold. It was called the Nixon shock, and nothing was ever the same. Before 1971, every dollar was a promise that could be redeemed for physical gold. The government could only spend what gold it held. After 1971, no limit. Print as much as you want. Call it stimulus. Call it relief. Call it war funding. It doesn't matter. There's no gold behind it. Since 1971, the U.S. dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power. 98%. The money your grandparents saved is nearly worthless today. And gold? In 1971, gold was $35 an ounce. Today, it is $5,100. That is not a coincidence. That is the market screaming the truth that politicians refuse to say. Gold doesn't go up. The dollar goes down. Now, here's where it gets dangerous. Because America isn't just fighting inflation. It's fighting to keep the dollar as the world's reserve currency. And it is losing. The BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, now represents over 45% of the world's population, nearly 30% of global GDP, and they are done using the American dollar. When the U.S. froze Russia's dollar reserves in 2022, it sent a message to every nation on Earth: if you cross Washington, we can erase your wealth overnight. So they started hedging. Saudi Arabia began accepting yuan for oil. China and Russia began settling trade in gold. Central banks globally are hoarding gold at levels not seen since the Cold War. In 2024, central banks bought over 1,000 tons of gold. In 2025, they bought even more. They know something the headlines aren't telling you. A world that no longer needs the dollar is a world that no longer funds America's debt. And when foreign buyers stop purchasing U.S. treasuries, the entire house of cards collapses. This is not a fringe theory. This is the playbook being written right now, in real time, by the most powerful governments on Earth. So what do the ultra-wealthy actually do? Because they always tell you what they believe with their money, not their words. Ray Dalio has publicly called gold a superior store of value in a devaluing currency era. Central banks of China, Russia, and Turkey have collectively moved billions into gold reserves. Family offices and sovereign wealth funds are quietly reallocating away from long-duration bonds. The message is the same everywhere you look. Hard assets, real things. Physical stores of value, not promises on paper. This is not about getting rich. This is about not getting poor. In a world where your currency is being quietly debased every single night you sleep, The Great Reset isn't coming. It is already here. The only question is which side of the trade you're on. History doesn't warn you. It doesn't send emails. It doesn't knock on your door. It just happens. And the people who weren't watching, they wake up in a different world. The rich aren't panicking. They already moved. The question is simple. Are you going to follow the money or wait for permission? If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe. Because while the mainstream media talks about the stock market, we talk about what's actually happening to your money. The Capital Vault, where the real story lives. Subscribe before the next one drops. The dollar is a promise. Gold is a fact.